Yeah, hi, this is Akshay. Today, Balata ma'am could not do the editorials which are presented on the Hindu because, on behalf of her, I am doing this. Uh, just on the 5th June 2018, some important editorials were presented on the Hindu. They are like one on environment, one on farmers, and one on governor. I'm going to discuss these three editorials now. Yeah, that's coming back to the first article, that is the main thing. To be an environmental world power, it is the heading. He focused on the cross-border environmentalism, and also he has written this article on the occasion of the World Environment Day, which we celebrate on 5th June. Yeah, here he yells his anguish because of the environmental distress that is happening, and especially he's concentrating on the North India, where we see the Ganga Brahmaputra plains, and he says that these climate change, diseases, vectors, etc. don't know the national boundaries because they are pan world problems. So and he says that we have to look for the solutions, not in an isolated manner. We have to become one, like the as we are a regional power in South Asia. India should take the lead, but he speaks that instead of taking the lead, India is the more polluted country in South Asia now. And we are not acting in the way we should. So yeah, he also speaks about China. He says that China, it is now acting in a very good manner to tackle the environmental pollution, but it is through the dictators which China is doing that. But in India, being a democratic country, we can't dictate someone to do something. It has to be from the people themselves. We have to empower, we have to create awareness about the environmental pollution or the development in environmental aspects, and we have to make sure that people themselves realize what they're being subjected to through this neglect of the environment and the environmental distress. And he gives examples of the like in the areas like Bihar, where because of the construction industries, what's happening is that in the Shivalik range of the Nepal, because of the construction industry, we are cutting many trees there, and because of that, floods are coming out because they are heavily riverine area. It is from Himalayas, rivers are coming, and great floods are being created, or problems like desertification and aquifer depletion, etc. are huge problems there. And he also speaks about the air pollution in the cities like Lahore, New Delhi, Kathmandu, Dhaka. No, we are also witnessing the problem of stubble burning in the Punjab Haryana region. And see, all the issues, we already know what he's speaking of. Now there is nothing new inside this article, but he assembled it at one place. So this article might sound bored to you, but yeah, as it is very important and it is the occasion, we have to speak the World Environment Day. And yeah, he also focuses. Uh, Recently, what happened was that UNEP, United Nations Environment Program, has chosen India to be the host country to mark the World Environment Day today. But he's doubting whether New Delhi will rise to that level of accepting us ourselves as the host country, because we are one of the most polluted countries in the world today. Our cities are ranking as one of the most polluted cities, and our rivers are almost dead. So. And he also speaks like this, that environmental ministry in many of the South Asian countries is the least empowered one, and they cannot collaborate with other ministries to do what they have to do. And he also speaks about the rivers, how we are making our rivers go dead, because we are constructing large dams on the rivers without knowing the consequences, what might happen. And the problem of desilting is there, and floods are occurring, and the free flow of the rivers is being obstructed, and the floods are being created in the other areas. We have seen what happened. We are heavily relying on the embankments, not consulting the local people, etc. These are issues we already know, so this article is a little bit boring. And we see that large amount of the plastic, etc., are coming from the river and joining the seas, and what's happening afterwards. uh, and also he speaks about the global warming, and how it is affecting the Himalayas, etc., and the coastal areas are being affected. And also, we being a largely agriculture dependent country, so it has huge effects on us. And he speaks about the black soot, which is creating the global warming and melting the so-called Himalayas. And he also goes to the Chipko moment, and he questions that another Chipko is needed for us to take a look at the environmental distress currently we are facing. And Yeah, he speaks about the environmental activists. Many times environmental activists are being represented as anti-national because of the work they do, be it either Medha Patkar or Ramchandra Guha, etc. Because they are not against the development per se, but they are trying to integrate development with the environmental aspects. That is the reason, and people could not understand, especially the populistic politics we have in India. Now politicians, etc., they cannot understand what these activists are doing, and they are being branded as the anti-national ones. And he speaks about the Adivasi communities which are saving the nature. He gives the example called Lepchas in Sikkim. You just remember the term Lepchas, where they are situated in Sikkim, because in prelims they might ask you some question about Lepchas. And he gives us some suggestions, like activists should use the information technology platforms like social media, etc., to create the awareness regarding this environmental distress, so the movement comes to the people itself, not from the government or like that. And also he gives a very good suggestion to empower the local governments, because local problems should have the local solutions, not the general ones or the global ones. So if we empower the local governments, proper environmental care would be taken, because each city or each area would have their own environmental problems. So building check dams or planting trees, etc., are the local solutions which have to come from the people themselves. So local governments, if we empower the local governments, many of our today's problems, including the environmental distress we are facing, would be solved. That is the crux of it. And these all points, though we know, but they are assembled at one place. So just we kind of discussed it. Yeah. Moving on to the next article, that is the farm fiction. We all know that since June 1st, many farmers are on the unusual 10-day strike to draw the government's attention to distress in the fields. Actually, what happened was that a federation of 130 farmer bodies decided to go onto the roads, and what they're doing is that they're stopping the vegetable produce, etc., from going into the major cities, dairy products or the vegetable products into the major city. They stopped it from going into the major cities, and now the prices are a little bit inching up. We should not, the crux of this article is that we should not see this incident as isolated one, because this has to be dealt in a very, very big manner, comprehensive manner. We have to look at the big picture over there. Because we remember that in the June 2017 last year, what happened was that many farmers got killed because of the police firing in Madhya Pradesh during an agitation. So these kind of farmers agitations in India are not new to us, but we should see that why are these agitations coming up, why are the calls for the reservations to many communities are being being propagated in today's India. Because India being an agricultural dependent country, 50% of our economy is dependent on agriculture at least. So we have to make sure that what are the problems our agriculture sector is facing. And this is also the common article. We already know the problems, like he is saying that farmers' demands are not new. Enhancement of the minimum support price regime for crops in line with the MS Swaminathan's commission recommendations, higher prices for milk procurement, and loan waivers to offset low or negative returns on investment, etc. See, what's happening is that though we are a majorly agriculture dependent economy, after the 1990 reforms, many sectors got evolved, and many sectors got the benefits of the liberalization, privatization, globalization, except the farming sector. Because even today government involvement is there hugely in the farm sector, because they can't freely export, can't freely import, can't sell to the persons whoever they want to. We have the Essential Commodities Act, which obstruct the hoarding of vegetables, and he gives an example like 100% FDI was allowed into the food retail business in 2016, but little money has come, because the retailers, they don't sell the food products only, because they want to sell some non-food items like soaps and shampoos also for customers, but we are not allowing that. So little money has come into that, though we have allowed 100% FDI into the retail sector. And we have to look at it like what middlemen are doing in today's India, how they are hurting farmers, and what about the National Agricultural Market initiative which was taken up by the Modi government. And also he speaks about too much of structural reform agenda to free agricultural markets from the grip of the government rules, and intermediate remains pending. And also government has promised us to double the farm's income by I think 2019, etc., but still we are seeing that many agitations are happening. So we have to look at it in a comprehensive manner, not just an isolated way. That is the major crux of this article. Just going to the another article, governance and the governor. Here he is countering an article which was written in the Hindu on May 24, 2018. The article's name was that, do we need an office of the governor? That is the article, and he is countering the article which was presented in the Hindu itself. And he says that misuse of the office by some is not a justification for removing it altogether. We need proper checks. It is 100% sure, 100% true, because some might misuse the office of the governor, but though it is very important office, some might misuse. But misuse by some should not lead us to removing the office completely. And he speaks why this discussion has come up about the governor recently is that we already know what's happening in the Karnataka, what happened in the Karnataka after the elections, and governor hastily formed the government favoring the central government. We know that, and he's speaking about that only. And what the role of the government in the Indian constitution is huge, and the Indian political system is huge, because he works as a link between the center and the state. So we cannot remove the office of the governor altogether. And he speaks that governor office has become a refuge to the retired politicians, etc., big persons who worked in the government also. Central government appoint these people who can aid them, who can take the initiative, carry forward the initiatives launched by the central government, etc., who can dance to their tunes. So governor office has become the controversial since a long time. This is not a new topic. And he also speaks about the discretion of the government. When an election happens, governor can invite government, or governor can send reports periodically to the central government about the failure of the constitutional machinery in the state, as you know what Article 356 deals about. And he also mentions a case here called BP Singhal vs Union of India case, where Supreme Court has given a series of recommendations about Article 156, which deals with the removal of which says that president, governor continues to be in the post of the office of the governor as long as he or she satisfies the pleasure of the president. So in that case, Supreme Court said that though president is empowered to remove the governor from his office, the intentions or the reasons to remove should not be in a malified manner. So, and also he speaks about the S.R. Bommai vs Union of India case, where Supreme Court has underlined that breakdown of the constitutional machinery implied a virtual impossibility and not mere difficulty in carrying out the governance in the state, so that the president cannot impose the president's rule, etc., arbitrarily. That reason can be checked by the Supreme Court. And these two cases are very important. One is BP Singhal and other is S.R. Bommai. He discussed here. We just go and do some research about those cases. And what he wants to say is that governor office should not be removed altogether. It just needs to be modified based on the recommendations of Sarkaria Commission, Punji Commission. Many recommendations are there. Venkatachalaya Commission in 2001. He has some problem regarding the removal of the governor, that he should also be given some tenure like 5 years, etc., so that the governors can work wholeheartedly without the support or from the central government. Governor's office should be independent as like any other office, like chief minister, so that he can work, he can be a true link between the central and the state governments, not just a perpetual one, a superficial one, etc. And he discusses in the current political climate, examples are being set, like what we have seen last year or the before last year about Uttarakhand, Arunachal Pradesh, like Goa, Manipur, now Karnataka. Many examples are there where governor is acting according to the whims and fancies of the center. What center says, governor is doing that, because if not, the center can remove the governor. So to solve this problem, what we have to do is that, according to this article, we have to have some tenure or the rules regarding the removal of the governor or the appointment of the governor, so that his office would be non-biased, a political office, and an independent one. And we have to have some checks and balance also, some powers where the governor could act under his discretion. So though Supreme Court is coming up with governor's powers or modifying it according to case by case, but it will be very proper if that comes to the constitution itself. So making proper amendments and making sure that this is the governor's role, saying clearly that this is the governor's role, he cannot be removed arbitrarily, would work according to this article. And it is very important article, because recently we are seeing that the role of the governor or the speaker is being projected by the newspapers or everywhere tremendously. So from the exam point of view, from the GS2 paper point of view, this is very important article. And some article is related to the politics of the Spain, which is not important for us for the UPSC exam, because international relations we discuss, but if that relation somehow is linked with the India, that is important for us. If not, you just do not read it for the general studies paper. For optional, it is different. Yeah, so these 3 articles are very important in June 5th newspaper. And thank you.